Good Friday morning, and welcome to Ice Age TV, the YouTube channel of the internal combustion engine age. Conversations of cars and trucks and SUVs and motorcycles and all that good stuff. And where am I today, right? Well, if you haven't checked in lately, I'm in Tennessee here. And wow, the weather has changed from yesterday being just a really warmer day, a lot more humidity in there. And yeah, look at my outfit today, kind of similar yesterday. It's the Indian Hero collection. Actually, my shirt's a little different. I don't have my hoodie pullover, even though I probably could. It's actually cool, not real bad. February, by no means is the weather here radical by any means. I mean, it's very nice for the most part. And the Tennessee area kind of never really has been the area that has been brutally cold, but yeah, they get that as well as many other parts of the country. And today is a day of hopefully maybe riding motorcycles or maybe driving the GT500s. Kind of still thinking this through right now. And man, my voice is just really kind of coughed up this morning, so pardon me if you hear me kind of clearing my throat too much. But anyways, yeah. A lot of people respond to my motorcycle videos because the theme's Indian. Where's the Harleys? I mean, the whole Tennessee tribe here is Indians. What's kind of interesting is where did the Indian name come from? Wow, that kind of gets deep. And is that the conversation this morning? Actually, good conversation is the weather. And not whether you do this, do something here, or whether you do that. No, the weather. How the weather all kind of affects us. But before we kind of get to that, I thought to myself, boy, oh boy, got my Indians down here. And I just have to think to myself, I really never was the big Indian follower of motorcycles by any means. I just never was that attached or that fixated on the brand. And I kind of started doing some research. And boy, I tell you what, it's 1901 is on these motorcycles. You look here in the engine, 1901 is like the first official, I guess, motorcycle, or I should say a bicycle with an engine on it. And it's a George Henne, I guess is his Henne, I believe is Henee. Henne Manufacturing is the company that was formulated like in 1897. And then there was a guy named Octor, like Hitbro or something like that actually designed the first engine to be put on a bicycle, because really where George came from was bicycles, making bicycles. And then he evolved into the motorcycles, but bicycles with engines on them, basically. And I just have to think to myself, excuse me, yeah, where did the Indian brand, how did the Indian name originate? And that goes back to Christopher Columbus, who came to Americas, mistakenly thinking he was in India. He was in the southeast, or southern India part of the world, and that's why he called the people that he met Indians, because he truly thought he discovered a different part of India, I guess you could say. So he was kind of a little lost, and that's why it's indigenous, or whatever you say, holiday now. They took that away from Christopher Columbus, because the real people, which he named the Indians, it's just pretty kind of interesting how the Indian name is still very prevalent in our country, all because of Christopher Columbus mislabeling the people that were here. Isn't that something? And what's interesting is her mother, had some good amount of Indian in her. And she's a Tennessee. So the Indian brand, Indian name, just a little history there for you. And in the George Henne, if I'm saying that, first time I just kind of looked it up. So I kind of read some stuff, and to read something and just to retain all that stuff this quickly, and that, I don't know, but he went to the name Indian, I think, like in 1903, I think. And it's because the Indian name was like a world-known name, and he got more recognition out of the product. Even though today, I've talked about this lightly, is how the Indian motorcycle company has been approached by people not to use the name anymore. The Scout motorcycle was really the biggest selling product Indian even had out of the gate. Yeah, this Indian Scout was the number one, and that was pretty much their only product. And apparently, when they want to make the Indian bigger, they called it the I guess, the Big Scout, but then they ended up calling it the Chief. And that was like in 1922, I think, is when they built the first Chief. So it's pretty cool. That's a 2022 bike, and they brought the Chief back in 2022. So only that was a recognition of a 100-year anniversary of the introduction of the Chief. Yeah, there's a lot of good information if you kind of Google it, look it up. But I never really had, and that was kind of interesting. But it's interesting that the founder, George, he left early in the beginnings of the company, and even Oscar, he left very early beginnings of the company, of disagreements and other things, and then just how it was up to 1953 that Indian was just really the brand competing with Harley Davidson. Then he just went bankrupt, and then Indian was like the number one biggest producing motorcycle company in the world, and I don't know if that was back in the 30s, if that was. But they had a lot of challenges, and as anybody knows, the first motorcycle was shown there in Springfield, Massachusetts. That's where the Springfield origination of the company is, even though it was developed, I think, in Connecticut, I believe, or New Hampshire, all up in that Northeast area. So the Indian brand really evolved from that little Northeast area, which isn't the most common thing. It was usually out there in that out there, I should say, in like Michigan, Indiana, Detroit, all that. So just a little information on the Indian. But anyways, back to the weather. I just thought to myself, wow, the weather has such an impact for us, and it's having a huge impact on us as individuals. And you may say, well, because we have a change in agenda of the world based on the weather. But before we kind of get into that, I like to keep my channel the car theme. That's my goal here, is the car theme. And I like to, also talk about the state of times, and not to get anybody mad, but here's an ongoing challenge that I've always had within car forum communities. Well, I tell you what, I'm so disappointed. I've been so belonging to car forum community so many years, and just so many I thought were my friend. And if any of them watching it, boy, I tell you what, boy, that friendship sure seems to have gone away. But oh well, I understand the views of others. But here's the conversation. I'm always fixated on being of my cars, and one of the things that is the well-being of my cars is you have these high-performance tires that come with these cars. So if you look right here, this is called a Pilot Sport 4S Michelin product. Look over here, this is the Pilot Sport Cup 2, because this is the total race car, track pack car. This is totally set up to go race this car. For the most part, you do very well in this car over this car because of this being a lighter car, this having a better all-out track tire. It has the lighter wheels. It has the wing. And if you don't think those wings make a difference, oh boy, I tell you what, I'll never forget me putting a gurney flap on this wing. So what a gurney flap is, here's your conventional wing on this car versus this here. This is the the airplane wing. This is massive, and even here you can change the adjustments on this car for how you want the downforce to plant this rear end. Well, for me, I decided to put the gurney flap, and the gurney flap, basically, just picture my hand, being the gurney flap of a molded plastic that kind of comes up and runs like a wall. You have like a wall running down this whole spoiler. There's actually screws under here that make it so that you can attach this, what they call a gurney flap. And what that does, that alters the downward pressure in the back of the, where it helps plant the back end more so it doesn't bust out. And I gotta tell you what, I put that on this car, and this is actually before I sold the car the first time, and the guy that bought it, he took it off. But this car, it was freaky at high speeds. This car was a freaky type of car. I could just feel that back end being pushed around by that gurney flap. So these wings really do make a huge difference, when you're doing really incredible speeds. 40, 50 miles an hour, no, but 100 mile an hour speeds, these things start to play out big time. And these are, these are track cars designed to go 125, 140. I think this is 150. I think these things are rev limiters. But anyways, back to the weather. The weather has such an impact in these cars, and so many people that own these type of cars, don't even drive these cars when it's not the best of the weather. And an ongoing conversations I always have with people is, hey, you've got summer performance tires on your car. This is an all-out track tire, period. This is a period. This is a track tire. And if you ever look inside your door jamb in your car, it has a little message for you. You have your tire pressures here, and right, but then up here it explains to you that if this vehicle, okay, if you drive this car 45 degrees or lower, they're saying you should, right here, Ford does not recommend using summer tires when temperatures drop to approximately 45 degrees. Wow. Wow. Now, that's a huge argument. There, I've been in car forums where people start just freaking attacking you left and right. They say that's the biggest malarkey in the world. Okay, well, I didn't put the sticker there. Manufacturer did. In fact, Michelin, who builds a tire, they're the guys that set the specs in these tires. Same thing here. So this is a race car. This is a totally race car. This car doesn't have all the amenities that car has. Doesn't have any back seat. Doesn't have electronic extra weight for your electric seat. The tires, wheels. Sorry, here we go. This car has basically the exact same message. Exact same message. So today, whether you realize it or not, the other day I had my daughter drive that Mustang down, the GT500 here. I had to look at the weather and be very cognizant. And actually, when we got in here, it was now dropping down to low 40s. And it's not that big a deal. I'm not here to push anybody thinking to drive their car 40 on a 45 degree day, 40 degree day, you're going to ruin the tires and car. But these tires here, these more than anything, if you drive this car on like a 20 degree day, 10 degree day, even a 30 degree day, if you move this car, you do have the really great possibility of cracking these tires. And it does go on. I remember hearing a story years ago of a bunch of Corvette Z06s off at a New Jersey dealer. This is like 2007, 2008 years. And some transport guy came, and it had been like a major snowstorm, but the roads had been cleared off, and it was like 10 degrees out. And the driver delivered these Z06s. Unbeknownst to him, he totally ruined all the tires on Z06s. He cracked them. That's a true story. So you might be saying, yeah, brother. Well, the weather has a huge impact on these tires. The variation of temperatures has a huge impact on your tires. Why? You have tire pressure monitoring system in these tires. Why? Because you have fluctuation. Air, what's in your tires? And so we say, well, put nitrogen in your tires. We already have nitrogen. You already have nitrogen. Well, yeah, but you add the nitrogen, you won't have this, fluctuation of the tire pressures. And that's what I'm leading up to now is, you need to be very cognizant of how your tires, the high performance tires, they're not recommending you drive this car in, cold weather, even though I see it all the time. I witness people all the time. And once again, whatever. I'm not here to preach to you. I'm just sharing information. But if I see you guys show up at a car show on a 20-degree warning in this car, I'm looking at that guy like, wow, you destroyed your tires. They'll be like, no, I didn't. Like, yeah, you did. This turns into plastic. It point blank tells you, if you read about the specs in these cars, it point blank tells you will crack the tires when you get down to that 30 degrees or less temperatures. Yeah, whatever. All right, so, but here's the other thing. It's all about the tire pressures. And that's huge in racing. If you're tracking, you lower your tire pressure down. I mean, there's just, or you bring it up. I mean, that's a whole other variable. But for us just having our regular old cars, we all witness the tire when you're not keeping up on the tire pressures in your car. So, okay, what's that all about? Well, it's all about your tires being osmosis. Well, what does that mean? Well, it means that your tire is basically not sealed. It means it lets air get out of the tire. It's so yeah, your tire's material, I guess osmosis event, I guess you'd say, because the materials and the compounds they use in the tire it lets just little bits of air out, and the temperatures vary on how those tire pressures are consistent or not consistent. Everybody knows when it gets really cold out in the fall and the winter months, your tires all lose a lot of pressure. And what they say is, I think it's like for every 10 degrees, you lose like 1 to 2 pounds of pressure. So if you're riding around, in September and it's 70 degrees out, but by the time it hits November, it's 30 degrees out, that's 40-degree difference. That could be, what, 8-pound difference, possibly, in the inflation of your car tires. And that's why typically most people are doing a lot of inflation on their tires and maintaining their tire pressures much more in the cooler months. Now, the hotter months, it's the opposite. You're not going to have that same impact. They say that when you get in your car, for every 5 minutes, you increase 1 psi. So over a 15 to 20 minute time frame, your tire pressures will be probably 3 to 4 more psi. So if your car actually has a TPMS on, and just say 32 psi in it, cold pressure. We're talking cold pressure, not warm pressure. Anybody out there, this is all cold pressure language I'm talking about. Not when your tires are warm. So you could have a TPMS monitoring thing on, but if you drive up the road, it could possibly go to 32 because of 4 psi more, and that TPMS might turn off. And you'd be like, why did it do that? Well, it did that because your tires have warmed up and it's adjusted the tire pressures to the correct reading again. Yeah, the weather, right? How the weather impacts us and impacts our vehicles. What kind of spurred this on this morning was, well, just that. I'm down here in Tennessee hoping for good weather to be able to drive the cars or the motorcycles. And I brought both cars down, and today's supposed to be 50s. So for today, these cars definitely are capable of being driven down the road. But what I've noticed on days like this is, you try to kind of get really into these cars, just that car there busts loose on 50-degree days very easily. This car here even more so, because these are such hard performance track tires. I mean, just look at the tread. Just look at the tread of this tire. You see that tread versus look at the tread over here. Huge difference on the tires and their capabilities. Which car is going to stick to the track better? That tire or that tire? We all know it's going to be this tire here. Anyways, I was watching my video, and he was talking about, hey, wow, you got your Indians there, and I did all my tire inflation, and I was just showing him that. It's what kind of spurred on the thought this morning of me kind of giving some tire information. Here's something, too, to think about. I was just talking about the nitrogen effect. So people will have nitrogen put in their tires. It's a waste of money. Air is nitrogen, oxygen, and argon. I mean, so air already, 99% of the makeup of air is nitrogen, oxygen, and argon. And of that, 78% is nitrogen. So for you to take and just put what you think is all nitrogen in your tires, and you're going to beat the tire fluctuation, you're not. I've been through it so many times. I have a selling dealer that puts nitrogen in every one of his car vehicles that I buy from him, and every one of his cars have the same challenge as every other car I own, and the tire pressures fluctuate. And really, nitrogen was really more about airplanes. So my understanding is most airplane tires, like big jets, have nitrogen solely in them. It's because the nitrogen is a more stable air that doesn't let the tire explode. So you have a jet come out of the sky and comes down to the ground, and the tire can embed up in 0-degree temperatures or whatever. And then when it lands, those tire pressures, or I should say the tire heat on that big jet that you're on, those tires get extremely hot very quickly. And so apparently nitrogen is a better, more stable air in that tire to eliminate that tire, exploding or, busting off that wheel as the jet lands on the ground. That's what I've been told. Is that all factual or not? I don't know. But here's the thing. You nitrogen in your tire. 78% is nitrogen. And then the other percent is oxygen. The other percent is argon. And so the challenge of the tires is the air. It's the ambient that changes the pressures in your tire, and that's why you lose tire pressure, just because of it's the ambient temperatures. I just said 10-degree fluctuations. And then you have water. Another whole thing that's in your tire is water. Moisture. If you could get the moisture out of these tires, you have no idea. As an individual, I have tried to develop a product, and anybody on my YouTube channel, if you do it one day, I do have it documented, just so you know. If anybody there can develop a product that can remove the moisture out of a tire, but here's your challenge. Tires are porous. They are osmosis. So you're always going to have a constant fight of the natural environment getting into your tire. But if you could ever create a product that would stabilize the air to eliminate the moisture in the tire, that's your challenge. That would be a night and day difference of tires having fluctuation. Because it's just really the moisture in the tire that's creating the problem. And once again, these tires are osmosis, and they have the osmosis effect, and tires are porous. And so here's the next variable to mowers that have these. The next thing is it's the plastic tires, basically. That's where it's all going next. When they develop plastic tires to be mass merchandised on cars, this whole fight the air thing will go away. Now, they're already doing it. I mean, Michelin already designed the plastic wheel. It's already happening, but it's going to be a long, long time before it's the masses. But yes, as time progresses with your electric cars and all this other stuff, you're going to buy a car that has plastic tires. So you won't have air. It'll be a solid wheel, or you should say, solid wheel tire combination. Look at up Tweels on my John Deere lawnmowers. I have what's called Tweels, T-W-H-E-E-L-S, and those are plastic wheels, tire wheels all in one. We don't have to worry about those tires getting a flat tire on my zero-turn mowers. So the Tweels, Michelin designed those. They're pretty cool. I like them. So that's kind of where I think the next thing in the car industry, and it's already happening. Yeah, the weather. Okay, so the weather has a huge impact on our cars. Who's going to buy a car? Are you searching for an old Mustang or a Camaro or a Corvette that sat in Detroit in the nasty or the Michigan? Or would you rather find a car that's in California or in Florida? Think it through. Which car would you rather find if you had to restore a nice car? You found one. Would you like to be up in the Jersey, New York, back in the 60s and 70s where he salted the heck out of the roads? And if the person drove their car, what's the condition of that car versus the car that's in California? Car in Florida, car out in Arizona. You get into these warmer, more kind of stable environments. You want that type of car because the odds are the car's age isn't as bad as you would have one that's had salt all over it sitting and corroding. I was just like yesterday, if you watch my video, you can already see up in my shop in Virginia, it's the worst. I have a concrete floor. They're porous. And what happens is when you get these, and my shop's not insulated. I don't have an insulated shop. So when the temperature variations up there in the winter months, what happens is there's so much moisture around the motorcycles between my Harleys, even my Hummer. I witnessed this chrome. This chrome just starts hitting a surface pit. Yeah, it's huge. It's the worst. You have no idea. I have a Hummer that they had to replace all the wheels. I mean, really nice chrome wheels. Their wheels were destroyed within one winter. One winter, the wheels just deteriorated. And the Harleys, the chrome today, everybody knows, the chrome is so cheap on these motorcycles and cars and everything else anymore, and probably China made, right? And so you're better off, for me, like this bike here. I had this down in Florida sitting at my brother-in-law's house in a trailer, and oh my gosh. When I got back home, when I came back down to Florida, this bike was already starting to pit because his house is parked right there near the ocean. And oh my gosh, you hear the stories. So even for this bike here, I had to really work hard to kind of get it cleaned back up because it was starting to pit. This here is the better way to go. You're better off in the blacked out chrome. I mean, or the black, whatever you want to call it. But you're better off the black. The black doesn't have this pitting problem like the chrome does in motorcycles. So anybody up north that lives in these harsh environments, you're better off buying the blacked out packages for your motorcycles because they just don't deteriorate as bad as this chrome does. This chrome, it's just in a bad environment. It's bad. Coffee time as you walk around here. And what are we going to do, right? What are we going to do? Weather being the way it is. Yesterday was the better day to ride, went for the wind. And boy, oh boy, that weather, that has a huge impact. When you ride motorcycles, it's huge. You really need to know what's going on. If you look at my video last summer where I waited weeks and weeks to finally take a ride with my daughter with the, if you go back to last summer, I have a really good video when we went to the Manatee State Park in Florida on the West Coast. My daughter and I riding the Indians to scout right there, and my chieftain elite here, and I just about went down. That was, I'd say that was the closest call on me as far as just going down the road, and the wind and the storm that came up, the borderline just ripped the front end of the handlebars. You just, the whole bike, just, literally just about wiped me out. And that was the reason I'm bringing this up, is because I waited down in Florida. They just had never-ending rainstorms coming through every day. And we were just running out of time to go do our motorcycle ride, which we really wanted to go up to that Manatee State Park where you can swim in the water and everything else. And it's a clear spring, underground spring there on the up on the river there, wherever, I can't remember the river. But anyways, the whole point is we got caught in wicked weather. I was blown away. My daughter handled that so well. Man, we had lightning bolts. I mean, I'm not embellishing here. You go to that video last summer, if you look for it, you'll see what I'm talking about. We got caught in a really bad storm. And we're sitting along Route 19. Yeah, sadly, we're on the same highway that's like 100 miles north of where my nephew was killed. And I haven't heard any updates, and it was speed. I mean, there's no doubt in my mind that my nephew killed himself from his driving habits. I mean, I'll just tell you straight up, very sad that what played out, but we're all family. Thank God the family, my sister is incredibly handling this like you just can't believe. I mean, for my sister, she's the oldest, and she just understands, that's just really powerful when you have family and this type of things happen. But anyways, what I'm just saying to you is we're on Route 19 on the side of the road, major storm, and for my daughter-in-law, that house over there, lightning strike, okay? You see that house over there? Lightning strike. I mean, just incredible on how and we're sitting on the side of the road and raining, in the winds, and my daughter, she didn't lose it. And that was the first time she ever rode really in a rainstorm. She rode with me in the back of my bike, and she kind of went through some rainstorm, nothing like that. So it's all about the weather, right? That's the weather. Does the weather kind of make you feel good or make you feel lousy? Isn't that something, how powerful the weather is? And really what I was trying to get around to this morning, which I'll kind of keep it short because we're kind of running out of time here, the theme more so this morning was talking about how the weather is changing for us Ice Age people. Yes, the weather is taking away the Ice Age. That's why I call my channel Ice Age, because the world governing bodies and the green agenda individuals truly believe that the weather is changing because of mankind, and that these ICE vehicles, internal combustion engine age vehicles, had to add that in there, didn't I? They are the main culprit to Mother Earth, that the environment has changed. That we're seeing warmer temperatures. And just call Al Gore. Al Gore will tell you everything as you ride in his jet with him and hang out on his yacht and hang out in his McMansion property and hang out in his, his spas and whatever else. He'll tell you that what's going on, and they get rid of these internal combustion engine cars because they're destroying Mother Nature, and the weather is changing because of the cars. I mean, what's the main thing you hear for the most part is why we have global warming? It is that right there. And it is these things in here. So the most things you hear today are, hey, these vehicles are ruining the weather. They've changed the weather pattern. So for us, if you're of modern times, you've been around long enough, you're witnessing more than ever that there's an agenda never seen in my lifetime to get rid of these ICE vehicles. Does it really play out? That turns into debate. I know one thing. I love Power Boost. And what's really cool is another gentleman reached out on my channel, and it's the hybrid gas V6 setup. And he claims that he had a really nice Ram 1500, And he actually traded out of that and got the Power Boost, and he's just like what I'm talking about. He's like, wow, this thing's just incredible. I love to hear those conversations because for me, I know somebody can watch my channel and they'd be like, you're Ford. You're just so biased to them. You're just going to say whatever you bought. It's really beautiful and great. Well, I'll tell you straight up. I sold my Raptor. Isn't the Raptor the baddest ass truck that I used to own? Sold F-150 Tremor. I mean, for the record, I've had a lot of vehicles in different cars. And, you know, I think I kind of have some credentials here to say what I think is bigger and badder. I mean, I think I do. Maybe I don't. I don't know. Just 500s. These are more fun than the Hellcats. The GT500s are funner cars than the Hellcats. They're race cars. I'm not saying GT500 is not a great fun car, but fun factor wise, wow, things race ready. All right, you can probably tell that I can talk all day, can't I? So yeah, so I just kind of thought we'd have a conversation of weather and how weather impacts our cars and impacts our tires. Maybe some people learned some things today. And as I was saying earlier, anybody can figure out the product that you can put in a tire to stabilize the moisture, basically the water, that would stabilize the actual environment inside the tire so you don't have fluctuations of your difference of your air going up and down. Give me reach out to me and let me know. I've had so-called the chemists and the scientists say, nope. The only way you can do that, you're going to have an explosive product in your tire. You're going to have it's going to be a reaction. So for me, I always had this vision of being the stable air guy, okay? You can put, and this is the thing, like this little air gun, I should develop this air gun. And anybody out there is looking for a way to manage your tires and you're on the road, these little air guns are so cool. This is an air gun, this little thing here. Take it, I'll power it up for you. And there's another company here. At first, I kind of thought this was the better company here, but in all reality, so you can do this without me having to turn off my phone. Let me just do this here. Do that there, and do that there, so I can power it on for you, and so you can see a little better. All right, so here, powered on. So this thing is so cool, where you can set your tire pressures, and you have PSI or the other different metrics of pressures, and this thing just automatically fills up your tire to that pressure and shuts off. Here's another company right here. This is called the Avid Power. I have a bunch of these, and I thought these were the better, but now this one here, I'm really liking this one. I think this one does a little better job, and I got mine off of Amazon. Let me just show you this one here. It's just too complicated. You're trying to open things in one hand and do all this other stuff and blah blah blah. So here's the other one. Same concept. I should have figured this out. I can't believe I was the guy that figured out to take a drill gun, put a freaking air compressor in the damn thing and make it what it is. I just can't believe that wasn't me. And that's why I'm saying to you, see here, you have the different pressures. Okay. And so anyways, I think the dogs are out. Hey, there's little babies. Yeah, anyways, anybody that figures out, hey baby, how are you? You hungry? Well, hello there, Scouty boy. Hi. What you doing? Hello. Wow, you're giving me a good morning kiss, huh? What a character. Yes, anybody that figures out. Oh, wow, the daughter here's like, he kissed me? Wow, yeah, he loves me. Oh my. Yeah, so I always had this vision that, I'm going to be the WD-40 guy of the stable air guy, where you have a product that you can squirt into your tire, and the ingredients in it will stabilize the air to remove the moisture out of the tire. And if you can accomplish that, no, go watch him, babe. You're gonna go out back. If you can figure out how to do that, let me know. I've got it documented on my idea. And hey, if you're the to go around out there, all I need is about $1 billion. If you see my habits, that's all I need. Okay, you can just take the million. I take the billion for telling you how to do this. All right, but I've talked to a lot of different people, and nobody can come up with my idea without it being an explosive product, where the consumer just can't go up and you fix a flat and you squirt this stuff inside there and it stabilizes your tire. Hey everybody, run out of time. I am out of time. Kid's got an attitude already. She's hungry probably. And we got to figure out what we're going to do here. So everybody, thanks. YouTube channel, Ice Age TV. And appreciate all the support. Nice comments. I really do. And stay tuned for more adventures. And what are we doing? Are we driving GT500s today? Or are we driving the Oh, yeah. We're going to have breakfast and talk about it. Everybody stay safe. God bless.